Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be discussing the disappearance of model and actress Tammy Lynn Leppert, who disappeared over 38 years ago. Tammy disappeared the same year that the internet was officially invented, therefore a lot of the information on her background and younger life is limited. However, she is still missing after all of this time, and I feel that it's important to spread awareness about this case. Tammy Lynn Leppert was born on February 5th, 1965, to her mother Linda Curtis. There's no mention of her father, but she does have a sister named Suzanne. Linda was heavily involved with beauty pageants, hosting a number of them, and strongly encouraged her daughters to participate in them as well. Tammy entered her first pageant at only 4 years old, and spent most of her childhood up on the stage. According to her mother, she absolutely loved to be the center of attention and loved to participate. From a young age, she wanted to be in the entertainment industry and aspired to be an actress when she grew up. By the age of 16, Tammy had participated in over 300 pageants and had won 280 of them. Her talent portion was always acting, and she used this opportunity to find work for herself. She was wise beyond her years and knew that talent scouts would be in the audience. Not many others had the courage to get up there and act, but she was fearless. Her personality is described as happy, bubbly, and optimistic. She was a crowd pleaser, and everyone around her knew that it would take her far. Tammy was cast in several local commercials and was even on the cover of CoverGirl magazine at one point. She always strived to do more though. When she was only 17 years old, she was cast in multiple movies. They were small roles, but in big movies including Little Darlings and Spring Break. From what I've gathered, the Spring Break set was a bit toxic. Firstly, even though Tammy was only 17 years old, her body was featured on the movie poster. I won't be sharing it here given that she was a minor at the time, but you can still find it if you Google the movie. I'm sure that it was a very exciting time for Tammy, and sadly, she overlooked some red flags about the people she was working with. Once they finished up filming, the cast and crew had a huge after-party in July of 1982. It was a weekend-long party to conclude filming and celebrate their accomplishments. Tammy was her usual happy self when she told her mother that she wanted to go, so Linda allowed her to attend. This was sadly one of Linda's biggest mistakes. It's still unknown exactly what happened at that party, but when Tammy returned home, she acted like she was a completely different person. The once outgoing and upbeat Tammy was suddenly sad and depressed. Everyone around her noticed that she had become increasingly paranoid, sometimes having full-blown panic attacks. She didn't want to eat or drink anything that was prepared by anyone else or that was open already. When Linda questioned her about it, Tammy claimed that she was worried that someone would poison her. Linda pushed for more answers, but Tammy never wanted to open up about what was really going on. One day, she finally admitted to her mom that she had seen something, quote, unspeakable at the Spring Break filming after party. She told Linda that she believed someone wanted to kill her, but wouldn't tell her any more information about who they were. Linda wasn't sure if she should take the claim seriously or if her daughter was suffering from some kind of mental health issues. Tammy was growing more paranoid by the day. She stopped leaving the house by herself and had what was described as good and bad mental health days. Sometimes she seemed like she would be okay, while other times it seemed that she really needed some help. One of her friends, a man named Wing Flanagan, lived with Tammy and Linda at the time, and he claimed that it was like Tammy was shutting the world out. He and Linda were relieved when she was cast in Scarface because they believed that the work would distract her from her fears. When she landed the role, she was forced to pull herself out of the rut that she was in. She had to leave her safety bubble because the movie was being shot in Miami, which is about 4 hours away from her home. She still didn't want to be alone though, so she decided to stay with a friend of her mother's, a man named Walter Lebowitz, who was an attorney who lived in Miami. He was like an uncle to her, and she felt safe to go. Shooting the movie went great at first. She had already shot her scene by day 4, but was still on set in case they needed anything else from her. Walter received a call from the casting director that day, requesting that he come and pick Tammy up. They told him that she watched as they filmed a scene which included a shooting and fake blood. She suddenly started having an emotional breakdown. They had to remove her from the set and take her to her trailer where they attempted to calm her down, but were unsuccessful. She continued to cry and scream hysterically, stating that they were going to kill her. Walter came and picked her up from the set, and he claims that she started talking about money laundering and stated that she had nowhere to hide from them. He contacted Linda to let her know what was going on, and they agreed that Tammy should go back home to Rockledge. The two made a plan to have her checked out by a therapist, and Walter, being an attorney, suggested that they file a police report so that there was a record of someone threatening her. Tammy agreed to speak with the police, but did not tell them that anyone had been threatening her, likely because she was afraid that she would be harmed if she talked. She stayed in Rockledge after that, but nothing really improved. Her bad days seemed to only get worse. On June 1st, 1983, almost a year after the party, Tammy had yet another mental breakdown. She was paranoid that day and decided to go outside to look around the house to make sure no one was out there. When she turned around to walk back in the door, she realized that it was locked and she didn't have her keys. She had no way back in the house, and it caused her to completely panic. She started having a full-blown panic attack, grabbing a baseball bat and smashing all of the windows out of the house. Her mother and Wing were inside and could have unlocked the door for her, but she was in a fit of rage. When they ran outside, Tammy began assaulting Linda and Wing to the point that they had to physically restrain her. That was Linda's breaking point. She made the decision to have her daughter committed into the Brevard County Mental Health Center the following day. It was an involuntary commitment, but Linda believed that it would be the best thing for Tammy. They put a 72-hour hold on her so that they could complete a psychological evaluation. To everyone's surprise, doctors found nothing wrong with her. She was not under the influence of any drugs or alcohol, and they found that she was not a threat to herself or anyone else. Her sister Suzanne has stated that she believes that Tammy may have discovered that she was 3 months pregnant while she was hospitalized, which means that she would have been about 4 months along at the time of her disappearance. Around this time, she also landed yet another role in a movie and was supposed to be leaving to film soon. She had plans to leave for Hollywood for 3 months, and Linda believed that a change of scenery would be beneficial. However, Tammy would never make it to California. On July 5th, Tammy went and visited her friend Rick Adams. She told him that she saw something at the spring break party that she shouldn't have, and that she was afraid. Sadly, that'd be the last time that he ever saw her. On the morning of July 6, 1983, Tammy woke up and called the bank where her friend Keith Roberts worked, and asked him to drive the 2 hours from Lakeland, Florida to Rockledge. He agreed and arrived around 11 a.m. that morning. He pulled up in front of Linda's house and honked the horn, waiting for her to come out. Tammy got up and told her mom that she loved her and she would be back later. Linda noticed that she hadn't done any primping and hadn't even brushed her hair that morning, which was strange for her. She had an uneasy feeling and watched them as they pulled away. She had no idea that she would never see her daughter again. It's unclear exactly what happened after she left the house that day. According to Keith, he and Tammy agreed that they'd go to Cocoa Beach and spend the day together, but they never actually made it there. He claimed that she asked him to borrow $300 on the way there, and if he would take her to her friend's house in Fort Lauderdale, which was about 2 hours away. When he refused, she demanded that he let her out, stating, quote, "Just let me out. Just let me out." He basically said, whatever, and pulled into the parking lot of the Glass Bank, located somewhere between 2nd Street North and 3rd Street North in Cocoa Beach, just off State Road A1A, about 5 miles away from home. He then took off and claims to have never seen her again. Once he dropped her off, she made several frantic phone calls from the payphone at the Exxon gas station located nearby. It's unclear who all she called, but we do know that she made several calls to her Aunt Ginger's balloon business. But Ginger was out of town and didn't receive the messages right away. She didn't call her mother as far as I know, and it's unclear who else she called that day, if anyone at all. If the police ever obtained the call records, they have never released the information to the public. Linda tried to report her daughter missing right away, but because she was already 18 years old, they wouldn't allow her to do so for 5 days. She filed an official missing persons report on July 11th, 1983. Though there's certain information that's redacted, I want to discuss what Linda stated in the report. She says, quote, "Tammy has worked as a part-time model and actress. She had recently been introduced to Redacted, who was a white male in his late 30s. Redacted told Tammy that he produces movies. Redacted has an unsavory reputation regarding his involvement with young teen girls." End quote. So, it's clear that Linda believed that this person could potentially have been involved in Tammy's disappearance. As far as I know, investigators didn't put much effort into finding her. They attempted to speak with Keith Roberts on multiple occasions, but he refused to speak with them every single time. Additionally, he refused to take a polygraph on 2 separate occasions, but admitted that she left her belongings in his car, including her shoes and purse. Now, it makes you wonder, if she was upset with him and didn't want to see him again, why would she leave her belongings, including her purse, in his car? Especially since she was 5 miles away from home, and she wouldn't have any money or anything with her. It's rumored that the two were sleeping together, and she could have potentially been pregnant with his baby. Yet, police ruled him out as a suspect. They believe that Tammy had taken off on her own and ruled him out as a suspect even though he was the last person to ever see her, refused to cooperate, and she suspiciously left her belongings in his car after a heated argument. Since then, there haven't been many leads in the case at all. There's even less solid evidence, and though the case is considered active, it seems like it's gone cold. Linda eventually moved to Orlando, Florida, and continued to fight to find her daughter. She sadly never got any answers and passed away in 1995. Her dying wish was to find Tammy. Tammy's sister, Suzanne, still continues to search for her and runs a Facebook page, which I'll link below so that you can check it out for yourself. Let's talk about some theories. Obviously, the biggest theory would be the last person that saw her, Keith Roberts. Again, they had a heated argument, and it's odd that he'd leave her on the side of the road. I have my doubts that Tammy would willingly get out of the car 5 miles away with no purse, no shoes, and obviously no cell phone back then, especially when she was paranoid all the time. He also refused to cooperate with investigators. Since it's rumored that they were sleeping together, is it possible that the heated argument was actually over the alleged pregnancy? If she asked him for money, is it possible that she was asking for the money so that she could terminate the pregnancy? Having that type of procedure cost approximately $200 to $300 in the 1980s. An unplanned pregnancy would have put a damper on Tammy going to California and shooting the movie. Perhaps he didn't want her to terminate the pregnancy, or perhaps he wanted her to, but she didn't want to. People fight over this type of thing frequently, and given that Suzanne believed her sister was pregnant, it doesn't seem far-fetched to me at all. The next theory is that Tammy could have gotten involved with a man named Christopher Wilder. He was coined the Beauty Queen Killer. He was known for abducting, raping, and murdering multiple young women and targeting models or women who wanted to be models. He committed crimes across multiple states including Florida, Georgia, Texas, Kansas, Utah, California, and New York. The first of his crimes occurred in 1982 and ended in early 1984. He lived in Florida in 1983 and committed crimes all over the state, including in Merritt Island, which is only 10 minutes away from Rockledge, where Tammy lived, and 15 minutes away from where she disappeared. He was known to lure women into his vehicle by telling them that he was a scout and would give them modeling jobs. It's possible that he was the man that Linda mentioned in the police report. However, there's no evidence that Tammy ever came in contact with him that we know of. He was killed by police in 1984, but Linda filed $1 million lawsuit against his estate. She later dropped it due to lack of evidence, but was still convinced that he was involved. The next theory is that Tammy could have encountered a rapist named John Brennan Crutchley. He committed crimes in Florida in the late 1970s and early 1980s. He received life in prison after raping a woman, draining half the blood from her body and drinking it. He was never charged with any murders and there's no evidence linking him to Tammy's disappearance. He was simply in the area at the time. Another theory, which Linda believed could also be true, is that Tammy simply knew too much about someone's business, and she was abducted to keep her quiet. After the party following the filming of Spring Break, Tammy's behavior rapidly changed, and she became paranoid. She was convinced that someone was out to get her, and mentioned money laundering. Experts have stated that Tammy's reaction to the body scene in Scarface pointed to her exhibiting signs of PTSD. It's possible that she witnessed a murder that weekend and was threatened that she'd better keep her mouth shut or else. When she had a bad reaction to it and spoke up too much, someone took care of her. It's been speculated that she knew about a large drug money laundering operation happening in Brevard County, and she knew that many prominent people in the area were involved. It's also possible that she's still alive. Investigators never found a body or any evidence that a crime took place. They initially believed that she left on her own, and it could be possible, technically, if she was running away from someone. In 1985, 2 years after her disappearance, a detective in Cocoa Beach received 2 separate phone calls from a woman claiming that Tammy was still alive. She claimed that Tammy would contact her family eventually. The next call claimed that Tammy was living out her dream of being a nurse, a dream that she never expressed to any friends or family. Lastly, it's possible that she was suffering from another mental breakdown and just simply fell into the path of a sinister person. Some people believe that she was suffering from schizophrenia, or that she could have become suicidal following the argument with Keith. I honestly don't know what to think about this case. I think the day she disappeared and Keith's account of exactly what happened is slightly suspicious. But I definitely think it's a possibility that Tammy could have been involved with Christopher Wilder as well. What do you guys think about this case? Let me know what you think in the comments. But that's all I got for you today, guys. Thank you for watching, and as always, remember the name Kasey Shane. I'm out.